Hey, thanks for checking out my video. Back on day 4 for another update. It's probably going to be another long one. I'm trying to be quick as I can. This is what we're going to cover. Let's go ahead and get started. Build overview, what's changed. I hit level 96. I changed some gear. I got Pierce on my Implicit, and then I put the Flask effect craft on that. I'll talk about that later versus the damage while Leeching craft and what the difference is. I got my Chaos Res up quite a bit now to almost 60% positive, which is the biggest change in the build. And I was able to do that by getting a new belt and finally getting rid of that crappy one I had. I got a nice 30% there, and then I got new boots also. I got almost 30% on those too. This belt was, I think, about 20 or 30C maybe, and these boots were 25C. So these are not expensive items. You can find these items. You just have to, be particular about your searches. And then nothing else is changed. Everything else is the same. I did change the tree just a tiny bit. Well, actually, not really. I basically just got rid of this int node, put the int there, and then took this life node and this mastery also. And I added this jewel socket right here. I got this jewel. A little more freeze duration, a little more chaos resistance there, and then damage. So that's a pretty nice jewel. If you look in my POB, this is where my chaos resist is all coming from. Jewel, belt, ring implicit, boots, and then chestcraft. That's where you can get some nice chaos resist from. I got a different claw. This claw has a little bit less damage than my last one actually, but it has like insane speed. You see it has 2.24 APS. And the reason that it has that is because of this double attack speed nodes on the Crucible tree here. So this claw is insanely fast. And then this Mana Leech is useless, but then it also has an increased crit mod here, which doesn't really help that much because it has a low crit roll on it. But eventually I might recraft this or just get a entirely new Crucible Claw. Like, I want to go for the one that has the huge flat cold damage and then also some attack speed. I think that's probably going to be like the strongest combo to get. But yeah, this is better for now. It's really, really fast. I'll showcase that later, how the speed difference is between that and like a lower attack speed claw. I got better flasks a little bit. I got this 17-second bleed immunity flask. I think this is actually really nice because you're going to get bled a lot while you're mapping because your life is low, and whenever you do get hit, if you get bled and then you get 17 seconds of immunity, that just feels really, really good. And then the instant recovery I think is also pretty nice on low life because it gives you closer to 2,000 recovery instead of like 1,000, which is what you'd get from a regular flask. Like this typical instant recovery seething only gives you like 1,000 life, but this one will give you 2,000 life if you're on low life, which you're gonna be probably most of the time when you need to pop this flask. So I think that's good. And then I got slightly better suffixes, almost max evasion here, a little bit more attack speed, crits the same, and then I swapped out the ignite flask for reduced cursed suffix because I haven't really died to ignite, I don't think ever, because their recovery is so good it kind of counteracts ignite like really well, especially when you have this Pantheon here. So I don't think ignite on a flask is really necessary anymore, so I switched it to this. Claw, more speed, less damage. Oh, I got a different Lethal Pride too. I paid 3 Divines for this Lethal Pride, which is kind of expensive. I didn't really want to pay that much, but Lethal Prides are just like so hard to find right now. And the good ones are all being like super price gouged to like 30 Divines, which I don't have that kind of money yet. This just has 2 double damage nodes on it. There's one here and one here. And then Intimidate. Intimidate is really important. It has Intimidate here. It's actually got 2 Intimidate notables. You only need one of those. And then a little bit of melee damage. So this is a good enough jewel. 10% double damage is enough to make a huge, huge difference. I'll talk more about that later too. And then Brittle on boots. I talked about this a little bit in my last video, but I want to emphasize how important this is. I think Legacy of Fury actually are not the way to go anymore for this build. I actually think just rare boots with Brittle is just superior. And I'll show you why I think that. If you go to my POB here, and this is my damage now, about almost 15 million DPS now. And that's against a Pinnacle boss. If you put in Legacy of Fury on the build, your DPS is going to be like way less, and that's with Scorch. And then you don't have Brittle anymore. It's actually even less without Brittle. And the Scorch doesn't show up here for some reason in POB. I'm not sure why, but it actually is in the DPS, and you can see that right here, conditioned Scorched. And that Legacy of Fury is the only place you're getting that Scorch. So it is showing up in your damage. But then you see my crit is low. I don't have high crit because we lost 100% suppression crit mastery, and then my base crit on my claw is just kind of low. So if you see that when I change to these Brittle boots again, the damage goes down, of course, but then when you turn on the Brittle, it goes way, way up. You see that? And that's because Brittle almost crit caps you. I put this reduced crit chance in here actually just to show you how much crit you're actually getting from Brittle. So you're getting about 25.5% crit from Brittle here. You see it goes from 73 to 98. So Brittle is massive, massive crit. If I take that out, I'm actually crit capped completely now. So yeah, I think Brittle boots over the Legacy of Fury is just the way to go. Unless you can get like just insanely high crit on your like Crucible tree and you have a really high base crit claw, I think Brittle boots are definitely the way to go. And you can see here, even if I change this claw, this is the claw I have, I just changed the crit node to maxed out 38% crit. Okay, and if I take off the Brittle, you see that only puts me to 86. That's with the maxed out T1 crit roll. So I still think Brittle's probably going to be better. Like for 99% of players, Brittle's just going to be better. So yeah, Brittle boots are OP. Okay, what's next? Legacy of Fury is kind of a meme now. I think. Oh, and you get Chaos Resist from the boots too. So and suppression. So just rare boots are so valuable now. I think going with rare boots is the way to go. For the Implicit, okay, your best choices are going to be increased elusive effect or gain Fizz as extra cold. Elusive effect is actually the superior Implicit. I don't have one of those yet because I ran out of Ickers. I actually bought some from a viewer earlier. That was kind of cool. So shout out to that guy. That's how I got my Pierce Implicit here. But anyway, I'll show you how you can see that on your boots in POB. Whether elusive or Fizz as extra is better. So if you come to your boots in POB and you can edit your implicits right here, right? So this is my crappy implicit that's useless right here. If you just type in, let me just go here so I can copy this. 8% increased elusive effect. Okay, you put that right here. 8% increased elusive effect. You see that's 1.4% damage. Okay, from elusive effect. Or if you put in this, the Fizz is extra cold, you put that in there instead. It's only 0.9%. So you see the elusive effect is actually superior. Plus, elusive effect is going to give you more chance to avoid taking damage too. So it has a defensive benefit too. So elusive effect is just the best implicit. But I can't get that yet because I'm poor and I don't want to buy more Ickers right now. But yeah, that's the boot implicit you want to go for. Alright, moving on. Back to defenses a little bit and how you can survive. This is your like defensive checklist here. I'm going to go over this just one more time. Make sure you have 83 or 4+% chance to evade. Make sure you have Fortify in your chest. Get a really high attack speed claw so you can have high leech. I'll talk about that more later. Make sure you're suppression capped. Make sure you have +2 strikes and pierce so that you can freeze everything around you. Make sure you have high elusive by having all the elusive nodes. Make sure you have some block. If you can get it in your build, I would recommend that you take this node right here. You get 4% more block from this node. So if you are already pathing to here, I highly recommend spend the 2 points to get this. And it gives you strike range too, which is also very, very helpful. Because when you have more strike range, you're going to hit stuff that's farther away, and you're going to freeze more stuff that's farther away. So this is a very valuable node right here. And then get your life up to about 3,000. I know that sounds low, but for this build, that's almost as much as you're going to be able to get. Maybe 3.5k. But if you're at like 2.5k, you need to get more life on your gear. And then get Chaos Resist up to like, I would say at least 20% is comfortable. More than better. More is better. And then when you're playing, just don't be standing still. Okay, standing still is how you end up dead most of the time. Okay, And then I'm going to run another map here real quick. I'm going to show you guys how I fight essences, because a lot of people die to essences. Essences are like some of the strongest stuff in the game, especially if you're spec'd into it on the Atlas tree. But basically this is what you do. You put your totems down, you frost bomb, and then you run a circle around it so you can put the brittle ground all over it. And then you pop it open and frostblink over it. Okay? And that all happens really fast, and I'll show you. Go ahead and do that right now. So I'm run this map. It has 3 additional essences on it. Plus I'm going to put essence on the map. So this is going to have a lot of essences on this map. And I've got a Legion Sextant here too that I'll show you. Oh, I also added Vol Grace to the build. I forgot to mention that. I was trying to Vol my gems to get level 21 Grace, and I just hit the Vol one, so I'm just going to put that here for now. So here, when you come across an essence, right, this is kind of what I like to do. It's good. Put down your totems, and then Frost Bomb, and then run a circle around it, put that Brittle all over it, and then as soon as you pop it, you Frost Blink over it, and then you start hitting it. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. Frost Bomb, pop, okay. We'll do it again right here. Totems, Frost Bomb, run a circle, pop, blink over it. Okay, that's a good way that you can kill those. So yeah, you see that last week I said that we're at peak speed, but I was actually wrong. Like the build's even faster now. The speed is just unbelievable with a high attack speed claw. Totems, Frost Bomb, circle, blink across it. Okay, that's a nice way to kind of keep yourself safe, or as safe as you can while you're fighting these essences. You can kind of do the same thing on bosses too, if you can. I'm not going to loot anything in this map because I don't want this to take like forever, so the video doesn't go too long. I'll just kill the rest of these essences, and then I'll pop 1 Legion, and then that'll be about it. But you can see I'm killing these essences no problem. Really strong ones can kill you. You have to just be careful. Like this one will be a tough one here, especially when I corrupt it. It might get even harder. So like big essences like this, anyone that has like 5 of them, I always recommend corrupting it because you can get a lot of deafenings that way. This one didn't give me, unfortunately. But see, even that one went down like pretty fast. So yeah, this is what your build should be looking like. If your build doesn't look like this when you're mapping, like this speed, like this damage, and my investment is not really that high, then you're probably doing something wrong. So refer to some of my other videos to try to fix your problems. I'm just going to pick up these essences because I want them, especially those hatred ones. Did I miss any? Okay, and then I'll pop one of these legions so you can see what that looks like too. When you're popping legions, you basically just want to like dash a lot. Like Whirling Blades, attack, Whirling Blades, attack, Whirling Blades, attack, Whirling Blades, attack. Because your additional strikes... oh, I want to take that trade, sorry. Even when it pops especially, your additional strikes will clear it for you. You don't actually have to aim at the monsters. So just dash, attack, dash, attack, dash, attack, dash, attack, dash, attack. And then once you clear almost the trash out, you can kind of go around and focus down the rares, like any of the rares that are left. And you can do that same strategy for fighting Crucibles too. You kind of just dash, hit, dash, hit, dash, hit, dash, hit. Oh, I got an acceleration shrine, so that was probably a little... That's why it looks so fast. But anyway, that's good enough for the map showcase. Let me do this trade real quick. Nice little belt here that I crafted with like 5 essences, and now it's gonna make me ADC. Life, res, damage, armor. It's a good belt. Alright, anyway, sorry about that. So that's map showcase. That's what your build should look like. That's how you fight essences. That's how you fight legions. Moving on. So, Exarch altars that you want to avoid or be extremely careful with. The chaos damage while you have a flask one up, I don't even take that one. If that one's there, I never take it. I don't care what the reward is. There's chaos orbs or whatever, they're not worth it. This mod sucks. And then the meteors mod sucks too, because I will always just forget about it, and then the meteors will just kill me because I'm not paying attention. So I don't take the meteor one ever either. The Fizz's extra fire one is extremely dangerous if you take the one that affects all enemies, because that will affect Crucible monsters and everything else in your map too. If it's a mod that only affects the Exarch influenced mobs, then that's okay, because those mobs kind of you see when they spawn and you can kind of kill them before they even do anything. But the one that affects every monster, that one's extremely dangerous. If you're running Eater, these are the Pantheons I recommend you take. Arakali plus maybe Shikari, which is this one right here. So this one, Eater Alders have like a lot of chaos damage on the ground and stuff like that. So this one is very good for that. And then plus same thing with this one, less chaos damage. If you have good chaos resistance though, you could take this one for the emergency health potion buff. Both of these are good if you're running Eater Altars. If you're not proccing Trinity, okay, a lot of people say, I can't proc Trinity on bosses, what do I do? Your damage is too low, okay? And because your damage is too low, use Southbound in the meantime, okay, until later on. Once you get a better claw, you get Awakened Gems, you get more double damage from Lethal Pride, you'll be able to freeze then. But until then, just put on Southbound. I'll show you what that does here. So if you look at my freeze chance here, this is my ailment threshold, and it's actually even lower than this because you have to take off Frozen here, right? Because before they're frozen, you can't count this, right? You also have to take off Trinity because you're not going to proc Trinity until they are frozen. So come back here and like this is my ailment threshold that's just enough to do Shaper or freeze Shaper. I mean, almost enough to freeze Uber Shaper. But this is without Southbound, okay? If you put on Southbound, it's going to go like through the roof, right? It almost doubles because Southbound has 100% increased freeze duration on it. So if you cannot freeze stuff, just put on Southbound. It should fix all your problems. You can use it as a boss swap just temporarily until you get better gear. Action speed on boots, okay? Do not take this mod because it doesn't do anything, okay? So you see a lot of people, a lot of tricksters like on PoE Ninja, all the DPS heroes, right? They'll have action speed here. That is bad because it does not stack with this node. So you're getting nothing from it. Do not take action speed on boots, okay? Mana reservation. Is it worth getting mana reservation on a shield so you can get more mana? I don't think it is actually, because you're gonna have to spend a shitload of money to get a shield that has mana reservation and suppression, okay? And if you do, you're gonna end up with one that probably looks something like this, okay? Here's what's on the market right now with reservation and suppression. The highest evasion one is 900, okay? And it goes way down from there. So let's say you get one like this. It has almost 600 evasion, right? If you get this shield, I'll put it in POB and I'll show you what it does. If I put this shield on, this one, right? Look what happens to my evasion. It goes to 43k from 49k. So I'm losing 6,000 evasion to put this shield on, just so that I can maybe fit in Defiance Banner, right? And if I put on Defiance Banner into the build, I'll show you. Look, it doesn't even get my evasion back to where it was before I took the better shield off. So like all you're going to get from this is a little bit of reduced crit chance for enemies. But the evasion component is, unless you get a shield that has just as much evasion, it's going to like basically do nothing for you. So yeah, long story short, I don't think mana reservation is like worth investing to, because you're gonna have to get an insane shield. So yeah, probably skip that. Slow versus fast claw. Okay, let me just show you this just as quick as can. I want to wrap this up. I'm gonna put on this slower claw here. This claw has 1.8 APS, which isn't great, but it's a lower tier mod that you might roll on a claw. Okay, and now let me just show you what the speed looks like once I get my frenzy charges and stuff here. Okay, now watch my whirling blades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now watch when I put the faster claw on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See how much faster it is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's just so much faster with a really high APS claw. So for whatever reason you're like wondering if you should prioritize speed, you definitely should prioritize speed. And speaking of speed, whenever you attack faster with double damage, that's how you're going to proc your Trinity more later on. Because later on, you're going to proc Trinity on bosses with your double damage hits. And the faster your speed is, the more often you're going to proc that Trinity and keep it up all the time. And it's also going to give you way more recovery. So if you look at my Leech here, like my Leech is insane. Almost 1800, right? Unfortunately, some of that is over the cap even. So like my Leech is over the cap by almost 400. Over 400. So the more life I get, it'll just give me more recovery because my leech is already over the leech cap. And then I have 730 life on hit, which is just unbelievable. Or that's per second, I mean. Life on hit per second, which is really, really good. Okay. Are you ever actually leeching in maps? This is important for this glove craft that I showed earlier. So if you are wondering what to put on your glove, and you come and look at this node right here, damage while leeching, right? This is more damage than the Flask effect one. It's like 35 or 38 or something. But I don't think you ever actually are leeching, especially when you're mapping, because your life is always going to be full, and even your mana too is always going to be full. And let me show you kind of why I think that. Because when you're mapping, let me turn off my aura here so you can see. If you have no mana, as soon as you hit something, look, bam, you're back at full mana. So like you're spending like no time actually leeching, especially because you have mana on hit too, a little bit from like right here. So I don't think you're ever actually leeching. So I don't think you should take any kind of like leeching mods. Okay. Okay. Now, real quick, I'm trying to wrap this up. I'm gonna show you how in Filter Blade you can highlight claws. Okay, so that when they drop, they look like this. Okay, so like you want to pick up claws so you can like farm Crucible trees on them, right? So you can highlight them so you can see them better. And the way you do that is you come to Filter Blade, okay? And before you start, make sure that you put on whatever strictness that you want. So like I'm running very strict right now. So put whatever strictness you want first, okay? And then come to Customize and come down here to Rare Items, Show Hide Rule, okay? And then go Highlight Rares by Base, and then you put Imperial Claw in here, okay? And then make sure it's whatever item level you want, and then you can change the way it looks to however you want, add a sound to it, whatever you want to do. And that will highlight Imperial Claws when they drop. So like that, okay? So you can collect them so you can put them in your Crucible tree, or unlock their Crucible trees. Alright, did we make it? Yeah. I think that's all I wanted to cover for this one. So, thanks a lot for watching, guys. The build is just coming along amazingly. I think I could probably farm to level 100 with this current setup if I wanted to. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I might play it for another week. I might play it for another month. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you guys have any more questions, if you're struggling, if you want to know something, leave me a comment and I will try to help you out. So yeah, that's it. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Later.